how does DAR plan to improve agriculture production and uplift the lives of farmers and fisherfolk? We now go above and beyond the headlines with the Agriculture Secretary himself. Secretary Dar, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Pia, for this opportunity to be here with you with CNN.
Well, sir, we're very glad you're here also. What we will attempt to do, sir, in this very limited time that we have tonight is to do in a sense, a Philippine Agriculture 101 class for young people. After all, yun po yung target natin for agriculture because we want to have a new breed of young farmers to bring them into the agriculture industry. And it's interesting, sir, because what you want to do is promote what you call a new thinking for and in Philippine agriculture. So, but before we go into that, sir, can we go through some numbers lang po? No? It's a little bit...
Sige,
yeah, go ahead.
The basic facts would tell us that the growth of Philippine agriculture the last 10 years averages 1.1%.
That is so small.
So small compared to the population growth rate of 1.7. So
ideally, sir, it should be what?
It should be more than the population growth. Say 2%, 3%, and going up. So with that basic fact, ang isang order po ng marching order of our president ay itaas natin ang growth performance ng agriculture sector. So it's such a very tall order, but yes, that must be our main objective to really now harness the potentials of unlocking the growth of Philippine agriculture. And we'll go into the details.
Yes, yes.
The second marching order our president is just do it right with legal basis. So having these two big marching orders, so we thought it was necessary to put the framework, the development framework for the sector in the right frame. Kasi kahit anong plano, programa, proyekto na susundan mo dyan, kung hindi po tama yung ating vision to develop and grow the agriculture sector, ay talagang hindi ka
talaga makakarating sa target, sa objective.
So let me highlight again, we envision a food secure country with prosperous farmers and fisherfolk.
Okay.
So
ito na po, sir, yung new thinking.
Yung new thinking. Ito yung pinaka-vision po ng new thinking. Kasi, una, food security is a must because you need to see to it that we have enough food, affordable and accessible food for everyone. And that's why it's food security because we need to, yes, enhance or improve the productivity of Philippine agriculture, but anything that we cannot produce is sourced from the outside. So that's the balance between, harnessing local productivity and any deficit, you have to bring it from the outside.
Yeah, you're talking about the difference between food security and food self-sufficiency.
There you are.
Kasi pwedeng, sige po.
Tama po, yung dati na goal ng gobyerno na 100% self-sufficiency, this has been set aside by the new rice tarification law, which means...
we acknowledge.
Which means that, yes, we are not able yet to produce 100% of the food requirements, and it liberalizes the importation of the rice that we need on top of the produce that we have in the country.
Sec Dar, let's go back to the rice tarification law. Very interesting din po kasi yun. Pero bago po yun, I wanted to ask lang po about some basic numbers. It's a bit disturbing because you say that about a fourth of the country's labor force is employed in the agriculture sector. And that's not very comforting given that, like you said, the numbers in the last 10 years have not been very good. So,
dismal.
So, paano ito? Ano yung numbers natin? 42.8 million ang labor force. Then, for every 4 people, 1 of them is in the agriculture sector. So, nagsasuffer.
It could be more than that even. So, nagsasuffer talaga ang mga those directly and indirectly engaged in agriculture. And if you look at, yung bang directly getting enough, benefits or are salaries good enough in the sector? I don't think so.
Not even. How much does a farmer make in a year?
A farm family makes 108,000 pesos.
108,000. That's like 8,000 pesos lang a month.
Opo. And this is one of the goals we have to now elevate. How can we make these farmers and fisher folk prosperous? So ito na yung second dimension of the new thinking.
New thinking.
Na sila na yung pinaka-focus po ng development process.
Right. In other words, we're not just interested in putting food on the table, but making sure our farmers and fisher are prosperous, double their income, at the very least.
At the very least, in the next 5 years, sana po, from 108,000, ay madoble po ito. And we have to do everything possible to make it.
Yeah. And we'll talk about all that, everything possible, sir, when we come back from a break. We need to take a very quick break. Newsnight with Secretary William Dar of the Agriculture Department. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to CNN Philippines. With us tonight is the new Agriculture Secretary. Well, sir, you're taking over tomorrow, not turn over tomorrow.
There is a formal turnover, but since day one, when I was appointed and have taken my oath, that was my day one. Because I was also ready to attend the cabinet meeting right after taking my oath last Monday.
All right. So, Secretary Dar, let's go back. Just a brief review of what we said earlier. There is a new, what you call your new thinking for Philippine agriculture. And like you said, the vision is to have a food-secure Philippines with prosperous farmers and fisher folk. And you said food secure, we're not talking about
food self-sufficiency.
Food self-sufficiency. Kasi po, for example, Singapore,
it's the most food secure.
Most food secure, and yet they import what % of all their food?
Almost 90%.
90%. So it's not so much now we produce our own food.
Yeah, being food secure means you have to have more opportunities to have more income so that you can buy your food anywhere else.
Okay. So if, sir, the vision for the new thinking for Philippine agriculture is a food secure Philippines with prosperous farmers and fisher folk, the mission is to collectively empower farmers and fisher folk and the private sector to increase agricultural productivity and profitability. So, like you said earlier, idoble sana ang kita ng mga magsasaka at mangingisda. And you hope to do that through what? Because this sounds like a grand plan.
Okay.
How are we going to operationalize this?
Very important words doon, private sector and the farmers and fisher folk. I would like to believe that the leaders in terms of developing and growing Philippine agriculture are the private sector investors. Kasi sila na yung mamumuhunan. Gobyerno cannot do that alone. The government can only maybe provide the nurturing environment and of course some investments, good investments directed to helping the small farmers and the fisher folk. But the higher growth level must come from the investments of the private sector.
Yeah.
So having said that, Pia, prosperity for all is one such an important dimension that we have to bring in this aspect of growing the sector in agriculture. Angat lahat, meaning kung aangat ang pribadong sektor, ay dapat aangat din ang mga magsasaka at mangingisda.
Right. O dapat lang.
Dapat po.
They plant our food.
So dito po, let's popularize the thinking na, okay, we will now, starting tomorrow, maybe deliver, talagang ipanganak natin si Ani at saka si Kita. What is this all about? It's all referring to improving your productivity and competitiveness. At the same time, improving the profitability of agriculture. So, masaganang ani. So, ani is there at mataas na kita. So, wag natin kaligtaan na samahan ang kagawaran ng pagsasaka at lahat po ng partners natin na isilang at in-nurture po ito si ani at kita.
Okay, kasi for the longest time, for so many decades, ang tingin natin sa mga magsasaka
Parang instrumento lang.
Instrumento, someone to plant your food and then kukunin natin sa kanila yung ani nila tapos
dapat
na.
na ganyan ang pananaw.
Oo. Okay. So, sir, when you talk about new thinking, and this is interesting, in this PowerPoint presentation you talk about these 8 paradigms to operationalize a new thinking for agriculture. Of course, we don't have all night, but I wanted to go very briefly and swiftly through them. You talk about from left to right, top row, modernization of agriculture, industrialization, promotion of exports, farm consolidation, roadmap development, infra development, build. Dapat importante din yan. Higher budget and investments. Ito nga yung private sector, na tulong ng private sector, and legislative support. And I just wanted to ask her first about, and I find yung farm consolidation the most interesting, but first, sir, yung sa modernization. So you're talking about crop diversification, modern technology for all, so that, in other words, sir, what are you saying? That agriculture, we should look at it as an industry?
Yes.
Ba yun?
You know, and I will highlight that more sa second part ng industrialization of the sector.
Okay.
So modernization takes the form of mechanization, new technologies that are adaptable to these conditions. Yung mga, of course, part of that is when you modernize, you have to have available credit. Gagamitin po ang magsasaka.
Right. Na para hindi sila mabaon sa utang.
Yes. All
okay.
the inputs necessary, the resources that are necessary, plus the technology. We have to use the best of technology that can really lift up productivity of the various commodities that we have in the country. So modernize will continue. Matagal na minibinhin natin to modernize agriculture, pero hindi pa, it's a continuing concern.
Yeah. Okay. And parang turn agriculture into agripreneurship. So in other words,
so going to the second line, industrializing agriculture, gagamitin na natin yung value chain approach. And when we talk of value chain approach, you look at not only productivity or production and productivity. Second aspect is value adding or processing and manufacturing, then market. So that's the whole value chain approach.
In other words, sir, we don't just get the harvest from the farmer. We will help them.
Papagandahin natin. Dapat papataasin natin si kita.
Okay, so yung hindi lang raw, pero processed and then
value adding.
Okay, so if we're looking at agriculture as an entrepreneur, as an enterprise or an industry, dapat ang tingin natin sa farmer entrepreneur. Farmer entrepreneur.
Or agripreneur. Yun ang ating title doon sa Go Negosyo na where we are very actively advising.
Okay. Itong rice tarification law, there is a RCEF there, a fund that will help the farmers. But I didn't want to spend too much time on that. But you also talk about, sir, Agriculture 4.0 and technologies. Can you...
You know, much of the rest of the world ay nasa digital age na. They are practicing digital age. Nasa digital age na tayo. Habang ang agrikultura natin ay nasa 1.0 pa rin. Anong ibig sabihin? There's such a big gap from that development period to where we should be going now. So kami kasama dun sa new thinking, we will harness the power of information technology to make it possible to enhance productivity and profitability of the sector.
Exactly how, sir? In one small example.
Kaya po ng mga disruptive technologies, mga drones na pwede nang mag-spray or pwede nang mag-monitor kung anong peste ng diseases mo doon.
Or anything that's going on in the land that they till, right?
Tama po. Mayroon yung blockchain approach na i-monitor mo from production hanggat makarating sa table. So we will see what is relevant. And again, yung mga modeling na ginawa na ng mga research institutions, gagamitin na natin to help to really enhance yung efficiency ng Philippine agriculture.
Okay, and then for example, a very simple example would be, kasi syempre yung farmer, ang magsasaka, sanay siya sa kalabaw niya. Feeling niya, pag nawala yung kalabaw sa kanya, paano na, no?
And that's where I was saying the Carabao versus the machines. Ngayon, dito sa Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, out of the 10 billion allocation a year, ay kalahati, meaning 5 billion, is allocated to mechanization. And mechanization is defined as all the machines necessary pre-planting and during planting and post-harvest. Yun po will be part of the grant that will be provided the rice farmers, including a small irrigation system.
Yeah. And of course, we still have a space for the Carabao. They will still be useful because merong...
Nandyan pa rin ang Carabao. And the Carabao, kung talagang fully mechanized na tayo in the future, ay meron naman aspeto na we go now dairy Carabao.
Dairy for milk.
Milk.
Yeah. Well, Carabao milk is so popular anyway.
That's true.
Yeah. Secretary Dar, we're taking a quick break. This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Welcome back to Newsnight. Still with us, Agriculture Secretary William Dar. Secretary Dar, yung pag pinag-uusapan kasi yung industrialization of agriculture, the funny thing is that some people say, Pilipinas, agriculture pa siya. So you're not industrialized. But what you're saying here is, we want to industrialize agriculture.
Yeah, kasi ang perspektibo po ng, even those in the Department of Agriculture, ang focus lang nila ay production eh. Kukunti lang, I mean, there is some source of income already there. But because of now our plan to make the farmers and fisherfolk more prosperous than now, then we have to look at other opportunities na kung saan ma-source yung income.
Okay.
And value adding is part of that. And a win-win arrangement is possible, with private investors, in tandem with the small farmers and fisher folk.
In other words, parang big brother, small brother. Parang yung go negosyo model, ano? May mentor, may mentee ka.
Tama po.
Okay.
So we will bring in yung konsepto ng go negosyo, institutionalized dito sa new thinking and new agriculture.
Okay. How are we going to address the cost? Because right now, mataas talaga ang cost ng sa farming, hindi ba? Will this new thinking bring that down?
This is one of the objectives. Competitiveness is the name of the game. Okay, just to cite the facts. Sa rice na lang, our production cost of palay per kilo is almost 12 pesos, meaning beyond 12 pesos. Thailand is 8 pesos, more than. Vietnam is 6 pesos. So how can you compete with these two countries kung ang taas po ang cost of production mo? So ito, we need to lower down the cost of production. And the RCEP is one of the key interventions. Mechanization, use of the best of technologies like seed distribution, credit, availability, and affordability, and skills development. And on top of that, Pia, we have to bring in other inputs that we have to also bring down the cost. And this is one, ito na yung we are looking at opportunities na how can we lower the prices of fertilizers and pesticide. Kasi ang laki po na...
Right. Oo, yung abono.
Abono.
Parang abono ka talaga sa abono.
Abono ka kasi ang laki ng gastos mo. So,
yes.
give us about another 1 week or so. And presently, we're looking at, pwede yun pwedeng may pababa.
Okay.
So we are looking at regulation, bakit natin hindi...
Regulation.
Nandyan lang, parang nandyan, it's still being regulated and under an economy na kagaya ng rice na deregulate.
Yeah. Sir, part of your eight paradigms is itong yung tinatawag niyong farm consolidation. Block, trust, contract, cooperative farming. Is this going to help? And how exactly are you going to do this? Okay. Will you get, will people cooperate? Will we see this happen?
We have to provide the nurturing policy environment and the incentive systems where the private sector will really work with the small farmers. And itong kagaya ng contract arrangements, nandyan na all these 30 years. But of course, ang mga big business are taking much of the profits. This time around, makikiusap tayo sa mga private investors to make contract arrangements inclusive. Meaning it's a win-win arrangements.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. So that makikinabang naman yung mga...
And well, you have these informal relationships already with Go Negosyo, halimbawa.
There you are, the mentoring, market development, capital, everything, this will fall in place. So ang ganda po na, again, highlighting the point that private sector is key in growing this economy.
Okay.
And bringing with them the small farmers.
Angat lahat.
Angat lahat po.
Yeah, the Go
Totoo po yun.
Negosyo.
Now, farm consolidation also, it means wala na tayo kasing economies of scale. Na-distribute na yan. Small farmers. Siguro ang average hectarage na rin sa kanayunan nasa 1.5 na 1.9, wala pa. So, ang liliit. So, how can big business do
business with 1.5
without economies
hectares?
of scale?
Oo. Okay. And that's why you're talking about consolidating.
Opo.
Para kung isang grupo sila, yun ang kausap ng
Ito yung soft
kumpanya.
consolidation, hindi
Soft.
yung hard consolidation.
Okay.
Opo.
All right. And of course, sir, di ba, may build din, infra development. But again, we have like less than a minute to go. So I wanted to go quickly now to, I mean, you've been DA Secretary before, like we said, and then before you became DA Secretary, again, nung nag-come back kayo, itong foundation nyo, Inang Lupa, no?
Opo.
It's a beautiful name because everybody says Inang Bayan, and
Mother Earth.
for you, it's Inang Lupa, Mother Earth. No? Are you saying that you see us as stewards of our land?
Oh, yes.
We cannot really own that which will outlive
We have to take
us.
good care of our resources, natural endowments, not only for ourselves, but for the future.
Future generations.
Opo.
All right. Final words, Secretary Dar?
Please help us in growing this sector of agriculture. Again, the vision is ensuring food for the whole country, and with the intent to make the farmers and the fisher folk prosperous. We need all your help. Let's work together. Again, encouraging the private sector to please come forward. We will help put up the nurturing environment in tandem with the legislative arm of government, and also the nurturing support that the small farmers and fisher folks must have.
Agriculture Secretary William Dar, sir, thank you very much
Salamat po.
for being here
Salamat
tonight.
po.
Maraming salamat po, sir. And that is it for tonight. Thank you for your time. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.